guys, what's going on? My name is Nova Meister, and I'm back with Blow My Mind, a series where I talk about topics, debates, and all kinds of crazy stuff that will blow your mind. Today, you might be thinking, well, this ain't crazy, but I'm going to be talking about time. Because time is something that we just regularly think about in the day. It's something that we associate with everyday life. But when time gets really crazy is when you try and define time or understand time. And it can get a bit weird, and I do like looking into it. I love watching sci-fi movies about time travel and whether you can actually time travel if you move faster than the speed of light and all this. I actually read a fact about time where when you look at your watch and your the hands are going across and the second hand just seems to stop for like 2 seconds instead of one. And you think, oh, that's just probably the watch catching up. That's just probably, oh, the watch will just skip 2 seconds or something like later, or it's just something that's happened. But it's not that. The second hand has actually gone across, and it's not the watch that's slow, but it's because your eyes have looked to a different area, and your brain has tried to fill in the blank, and it's actually left the second hand there. And that happens every day. It happens all the time. It can be why some people are actually living in different time zones than other people, which is crazy to believe. It's nuts to believe that I might be, say, like a quarter of a millisecond in the future compared to you. So I was really weirded out that I naturally looked at a watch and the time stood still, and that wasn't something to do with the watch. It was actually something to do with my head because of my brain's perception of time. And it's not that what I understand it is, it's not that I am or my body is in the future by a millisecond in front of you, but it's my perception of time is a millisecond in front of you. So I don't know whether you could go back in time. For people to go forward in time, then everything must be predictable. There can be no randomness. It's called determinism. That means that humans definitely can't have free will. And I'll be doing a commentary about that soon, about free will versus determinism, because it is, and I'll explain it more in that commentary, but it's basically the idea that there is no randomness and that everything we do is because we're a cognitive machine and we were always meant to do the thing. So unless everything is predictable, unless we have no free will, it's impossible to travel to the future because you never know what the future is going to be like. So yeah, you can only go to a branch of the future. But anyway, I won't get into that because that's just confusing you guys. I know how sometimes people get confused in these commentaries, and yet you still want to hear some stuff, and I'll try to keep it as simple as I can. I don't really want to be talking about Einstein's theory of relativity and all that because I don't even understand that myself, let alone like try and talk to you guys about it. But he says that basically, if you're moving as fast as the speed of light and you're going like against each other, like you start seeing people looking slow and all this kind of stuff. So time really is a bit crazy. And not only that, I wanted to speak to you guys about time as well because everything in the world that we see, the external world, everything that we see is called perception. We perceive it. We don't. When you see something or when you smell something, say if you smell some, like some nice cooking of, I don't know, some like chocolate fudge brownies, and you're like smelling it, and then you go, or you see it, you go into the kitchen, you see it, those chocolate fudge brownies are there in the world. Other animals sense stuff in different ways, but time is something that we don't take from the external environment and sense it. Instead, we have to construct that in our minds. It's another dimension of the universe. It's not one that we can just take and it goes into our brains and we perceive it, but instead we have to construct that in our mind. It's not something that we perceive, it's something that our brains actually have to recreate. We have to create it. And what is so interesting about this is if we create time in our minds, we create our perception of time in our minds, then that means that a lot of the time, due to different variables and different circumstances, we can experience time faster, or we can think that we've experienced time faster than other times, and we can do that vice versa. I was reading that one guy got stuck in a cave for 30 days, and no, for 55 days or something, and he thought he was trying to count the seconds in his head, and despite doing that, he thought he'd only been in there for 30 days when he got out, which is crazy to believe that someone's time perception could be that off compared to someone else. What is also interesting about this, and also slightly depressing, that I find, is that people who are younger and see new things, because one of the variables supposedly for perceiving time in a slower way, is that when you see new things and experience new things, and you have more that your brain's taking in and processing, then your time actually goes a lot slower, or feels a lot slower. So within the first, say, I think it was 12 years of your life, someone claimed, you've actually lived half your life within like the first 12 years of your life, even though you live like 80. In your head, you've perceived that you've lived half of your life. Well, time perception wise, you've lived half of your life, whereas in reality, you've only lived like, say, I don't know, like a sixth, depending on how lucky you are. So I find that really amazing. I'm not sure about you guys, that someone who's 12 feels like they've lived as long as they're living between like 12 and 70. Like, that is, wow. Like, to me, that was crazy when I read that. And it kind of makes sense, because when you think of back when you were a kid, every day seems so long, and now I'm only 20, but it does feel like the days are just rolling by, which is pretty crazy. You know, whatever. I'm trying to think if there's any other things I want to talk to you guys about time. Maybe I'll leave it at that and then let you guys talk to me about time in the comments section. If I can think of anything else that I thought of after this commentary, then I will let you know in the comments section, and hopefully we can get a little discussion going. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this topic and whether you'd like to see any other topics later. There is just one more thing, is that some people perceive time in some people say that we perceive time, and how, because when you say, oh, how long ago was this, and you think of something about 5 years ago, and some people will go, oh, I don't know, I think that happened about 7 years ago, that Christmas, and then the other people will say, well, people will say that they guessed 7 years because of the strength of hang on, I'm trying to think of the word. It leaves something in your brain. I think it's like a stim. I don't know. But yeah, it leaves something in your brain, a trace in your brain from when you've remembered it for the first time, and it gets stronger and stronger, or weaker and weaker, and we can understand the time. Other people just say that we experience time by trying to associate it with events around that time, or that we actually know facts about. But yeah, it's pretty crazy to understand how much we don't understand about time, and how big time is compared to us, and just the amount of time that's gone by in terms of universe and all that is just crazy to think as well. And yeah, it's just an interesting thing that I thought you guys would enjoy talking about in the comment section. Hopefully you've understand some of this. If you didn't understand absolutely any of it, or you do have any questions, let me know. I'll try and explain it for you, because I know these commentaries can be a little bit overwhelming. They're overwhelming for me to speak about, especially when I don't script them. So I might actually start scripting them soon, but let me know if you guys want me to start scripting it, or you just like me going off on a rant. And leave your comments and ideas for new topics. I've got a few. And as always, thank you very much, and good night.